He didn't inherit wealth. He inherited hunger. Henry Royce was born in 1863 in a small village in England, into extreme poverty. His father was a miller who struggled to survive, and when Henry was only 9 years old, his father died. Overnight, the family collapsed financially. Henry's childhood ended early. At the age of 10, he was forced to sell newspapers on the streets just to help his family eat. At 14, he was working full-time as an apprentice, earning barely enough to survive. While other boys were learning in schools, Henry was learning something harsher: how to endure. He had no money for education, no powerful connections, no safety net. But Henry had something else, an obsession with perfection. He noticed that machines often failed, not because they were impossible to build, but because they were poorly made. Bolts were loose, parts were careless, quality was ignored. Henry hated that. He taught himself engineering by reading books at night after exhausting workdays. He studied machines the way others studied religion. Every detail mattered. Years later, with almost no capital, Henry started a tiny electrical business in Manchester. The company barely survived. Profits were small. Stress was constant. Then one day, Henry bought a French car. And that decision changed everything. The car broke down repeatedly. Parts failed. The quality disgusted him. Henry didn't complain. He took the car apart. He studied every mistake. And he said one sentence that would change automotive history forever: "I can build a better one." That night, Henry Royce didn't sleep. He began designing his own car. Not fast, not flashy, but perfect. And without knowing it, a poor boy with no education had just started a war against mediocrity. But Henry had no money, no customers, and no name. What happened next would decide whether this dream died quietly or became a legend. Henry Royce built his first car in a small workshop with limited tools and endless patience. He tested every part, again and again. If something made noise, he fixed it. If something vibrated, he redesigned it. If something felt imperfect, he destroyed it and started over. This car wasn't meant to impress crowds. It was meant to last. But genius alone doesn't build empires. Henry had the product, not the platform. That's when fate entered the story. A wealthy young aristocrat named Charles Royce heard rumors of a man building an unusually smooth and reliable car. Curious, Royce asked to meet Henry. The meeting could not have been more different. Charles Royce was rich, educated, confident, and connected. Henry Royce was poor, quiet, and uncomfortable in high society. But when Charles drove Henry's car, something happened. The engine was silent. The ride was smooth. The craftsmanship was unmatched. Charles Royce immediately understood. This was not just a car. This was engineering purity. Royce said one sentence that sealed history: "I will sell every car you make." The partnership was formed. Royce brought influence, customers, and marketing. Royce brought obsession, discipline, and impossible standards. Together, they created Royce. Henry made one rule clear: the best car in the world, or no car at all. Every vehicle was tested relentlessly. If it failed, it was rebuilt. Profit was secondary. Reputation was everything. The world noticed. Rolls-Royce cars became symbols of absolute excellence. Kings, queens, and industrial leaders demanded them. But just as success arrived, tragedy struck. In 1910, Charles Royce died in a plane crash. Henry Royce was devastated. He lost his partner, his friend, the man who believed in him. And now the entire company rested on the shoulders of a man who once sold newspapers to survive. Most people would have collapsed. Henry Royce did the opposite. He worked harder than ever, and that decision would take Rolls-Royce far beyond cars, into the skies, and into history itself. After Charles Royce's death, Henry Royce poured everything into his work. His health deteriorated, but his standards never softened. Even when he was physically weak, he reviewed designs from bed, demanding absolute perfection. Henry believed one thing: quality is remembered long after price is forgotten. During World War I, Rolls-Royce shifted from luxury cars to aircraft engines. What they built would redefine aviation. Their engines powered fighter planes, bombers, and later commercial aircraft. Rolls-Royce was no longer just a car company. It became a symbol of excellence. Henry Royce never became flashy. He never lived like a celebrity. He stayed obsessed with details until the end of his life. When Henry Royce died in 1933, he left behind more than a company. He left behind a philosophy. A poor boy with no formal education had created one of the most respected engineering brands in human history. Not by luck, not by privilege, but by refusing to accept anything less than perfect. Today, Rolls-Royce doesn't just represent luxury. It represents a lesson. Greatness doesn't come from where you start. It comes from what you refuse to tolerate. And the boy who once sold newspapers built a name that the world still whispers with respect.